William Rooke Creswell was a Royal Navy officer who decided to try a new life in Australia as a farmer. When the navies were all brought together into the Commonwealth Naval Forces in 1901, it was he who was insistent that if you were going to have a Royal Australian Navy, then you needed to have a Royal Australian Naval College, somewhere where Australian boys, 13 and 15-year-olds, could be trained. Many people said, well, that's unnecessary. If you send these boys to the Britannia Royal Naval College at Dartmouth in England, they'll come back perfectly fine naval officers 4 years later. And he made the point, and the Prime Minister, Alfred Deakin, agreed with him, that they would come back as fine naval officers, but after 4 years being with British boys, they would no longer be very Australian. Now, be that as it may, the decision was taken to establish a Royal Australian Naval College here at Jervis Bay, which in those days was quite a remote location. You got to it by sea, and this is where they came and started their apprenticeship as naval officers. From this location, 35 nautical miles beyond Point Perpendicular, lies the wreck of HMAS Voyager, which was sunk in collision with Melbourne in 1964. And some of the boys who were on board her, young midshipmen, had come from the college at the end of their training, and there were boys who lost their lives there. Midshipman Marion was given the Albert Medal for attempting to save life that night. He lost his own in the process. So great gallantry and heroism was shown by some very young men in doing their utmost in tragic circumstances to save the lives of their shipmates. Yes, the anchor is down there, and that's the memorial, not just to the voyagers dead, but to all our RAN dead, the vast majority of whom have no known grave, because they lie where their ships were sunk around the oceans of the world. And we remember them every Anzac Day and on other occasions as well, but we have a public Anzac Day ceremony here at the RANC at Creswell every 25th of April, a dawn service. We have two young 13-year-olds in the photograph behind me. They would be being trained there in the use of a flashing light for signalling using Morse, and you can see they're very young, but they had been very professional and very dedicated to the future as young naval officers. Taking them in that young seems very strange today, but in those days most people started their careers much younger than they do now, and they continued in them for a long time. And the expectation was that if you trained a boy up in what he needed to know in order to be a bridge watchkeeper at sea, by the time he was 18 or 19 he could go and take his place in the fleet. Well, the old saying used to be that, you want to dry your eyes and harden up, or harden up and dry your eyes, and another way of saying that was give someone a bag of cement and a box of tissues, but it's not like that today. We're a very diverse collegial place where we ensure that people all get their opportunity to express their personality, very different from the days of small boys. The Navy now is looking for young men and young women who want to make a career in the Navy and have got something to offer us, and the age at which they come in, within reason, is immaterial. And what we're looking for is people who are prepared to commit to the Navy at whatever age they are now.